Welcome one and all to another Liverpool podcast. Today we're discussing Liverpool's 3-0 victory at Turf Moor against Burnley. There's something that the Cup wants you to know. The best in the world, his name is Bobby Firmino. Our number 9. Give him the ball, he'll score every time. Si, senor. Give the ball to Bobby, he will score. How you doing, Buttercup?
Oh, God, that felt like about 3 hours listening to that. Well, we've definitely got no listeners for this one, have we? You've killed it from the start this time, yeah. They've all run off screaming.
Psychologically scarred for life. All right, mate. Burnley was a stroll in the park, I thought, from the first minute. We were in control.
Not even sure it's that difficult, was it?
What did you make of Burnley?
Well, first off, as you know, I've got something to say about Burnley. Sean Dyche has come out and he's had a good moan about players diving a couple of weeks back. Constantly bangs on about it, about how it's ruining the game and that. And yet his players are the worst in the game for it. Every single one of them, the slightest brush, and they're off flying across the pitch like they've been shot. Especially Ashley Barnes. I've never known anything like it. For a big lump like him, all he does is throw his elbows around and then throws himself to the floor like he's the one that's been fouled when he's the one doing the fouling. It's so frustrating to watch. I don't know how Burnley fans put up with it.
But that's their DNA, that's their MO. I mean, those two units up front, Woods and Barnes, they're massive.
I don't mind them throwing themselves about, throwing their weight about and putting themselves about and, being physical. What I mind is the way, because Woods didn't do it. It was just Barnes. Every time anybody challenged him, if he wasn't getting the ball, he was on the floor throwing himself, and he was the one doing the fouling. This was the annoying thing. But he was the one throwing himself to the floor and diving and pretending to be hurt. It's just a cheat. Let's be honest. It's cheating. And I wouldn't mind if it wasn't for the fact that Dyche has come out and moaned about all other teams doing this to his team. And he's saying it's ruining the game and cheating. All these cheating divers should be stopped. Well, then have a word with your own lad first. And then we can start talking about doing something about it in the game as well.
I think they call it the dark arts.
Yeah, keep your house in order though. If you want to moan about something, you know what I mean. You don't let your players commit the crime that you're complaining about.
Sean Dyche at hotmail.com, I think his email address is, mate. So
I just don't think it's such a difficult thing to, I just don't see how he can have the cheek to complain about other teams' players diving. The only difference between Barnes, etc., and the others he's moaning about is that Barnes isn't getting into the box because they're crap and they never get into the box out on open play. They only get into the box on free kicks that he's won by diving.
The irony.
They're cheating to get there, let's be honest. These free kicks, they've cheated to get them. And their chances are coming because they're cheating, but he's not he's not seeing it and complaining about other teams instead.
Let me know about the reply from the email you sent.
Yeah,
because
I'm sure he'll be straight on to reply to me.
There's absolutely no way he's going to change his tactics.
Well, I don't have a problem with that. What I have a problem with him is he complains that other teams are the only ones doing this, cheating. And it's those in glass houses shouldn't throw stones and all that. Like he's got the worst team for it. So stop complaining and just get on with it, or put your house in order. Then you can come and complain to me about how the others are cheating. Either works for me. I actually like Sean Dyche. This is the thing. I like him, but I think this. I just hate hypocrites, and he's a hypocrite.
You like him on what level? A tactical level? A coaching level?
Well, his tactics aren't exactly exciting to watch or anything, but he's managing Burnley. At one point they were selling off. When he took over, he had to sell half his team just to survive. That was how bad things were financially for the club. He's turned them around and made them into a Premier League force. You can't really argue with that. man management's excellent. But
you've got to admire and respect.
He's done. He's worked wonders there. And when they asked him, when they first got relegated from the Premier League, the first time he took them up, and you got to remember, this is the season after he's had to sell half his team because he won promotion the season he sold half his team. He still managed to win promotion even though he'd had to sell everyone. So he sold all these players, and then they've come up to the Premier League. He refused to spend any money because he said, no, we're not going to take any risks with the future of the club. They got relegated. The chairman's come to him and said, well, we've got a few quid from the Premier League here. What do you want to do with it? Now, most managers would have said, oh, well, I want to sign so-and-so and so-and-so, and we need so-and-so. He said, I want to improve the training facilities. I want to build, you know what I mean, and all that kind of stuff. And that's what he did instead. He improved the infrastructure of the club. Fair play to him. He's looked at the future of the club rather than what's best for him as a manager now. And I respect him, you know what I mean? Plus, he's a Liverpool fan as a boy as well, which helps.
Yeah, and you fancy him, so that helps a lot as well. So,
anyone Ginger's class, obviously. Like myself. Being Ginger's obviously a bonus.
Yeah. Well, he's got him into Europe as well, so there you go.
Last season. They're not there this season because of being in Europe last season, but you know, when you're a team the size of Burnley, just being there is good enough, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, just all I want him to do is stop complaining about things that you're just as guilty of as everyone else. That's all I'm saying is, don't moan about divers when your players are diving. Sort them out, stop them diving, then you can come on and moan all you want. And I'll fully back you then, because I agree, diving's horrible and it annoys the crap out of me. And I'd love to see it eradicated from the game.
He might be listening to this podcast. You might not need to send him an email, mate.
Yeah, I can just see that. Nobody will be, though, after you've sung at the beginning, let's be honest. Even if he was a regular subscriber, he'll have unsubscribed when he heard that beginning.
You used to love my dulcet tones, mate. What happened?
I don't think that's ever been said, ever, by anyone about you.
Oh, you'd be surprised. Anyway, mate, 13 consecutive league victories for Klopp, which beats Kenny's record.
Would you
Klopp
say that was the easiest of them as well?
I can't remember the last 13, mate. But honestly, I didn't think it was going to be. You were listening to Andy Gray and Richard Keys, etc., right? And I was watching NBCN with Rebecca Lowe, Carl Martino, who I really like. Actually, I think he's a very, very good pundit. I'm not sure if you know of him. He's an American he's an ex-American footballer, and obviously I need an American face for American TV. But
as in American football or American soccer?
Soccer.
Just checking, because when you said that, it's like kind of you're thinking, what the hell?
I don't care. I don't mind calling it soccer. I think it's
okay. Well, soccer is an English word anyway. It's actually short for association football, and it was invented to distinguish from rugby football. So they used to say rugger and soccer.
Ooh, look at you, the
oracle.
So
it's actually English, not American. When all the English get their arse in the hand about foreigners using it, you invented it. Stop moaning.
Oh, mate, every day's a school day. I'll use that next time. So it was Carl Martino, Rebecca Lowe, and I think it was Robbie Earle. And they were, just before kickoff, they were saying how Burnley are the most unorthodox, English football team. You're up and at them. They're a throwback. It's going to be so difficult. Love for Liverpool. It's not going to be a gimme. Blah blah blah. We actually battered them, to be fair. And it was just a really one-sided game. And the 13 consecutive league victories is nice. Just cements his legacy. I don't think we steamroller them by any stretch of the imagination, but it was a methodical dissection of a team who intentionally go out to rough you up and use shithouse tactics.
I just thought it was a bit like the Arsenal game where we just did enough to win easily. Never actually. Yeah. It wasn't like we went out. We didn't go out there to score 7 or 8. We just went out there to win, and that was it. And we got it. And there was no real struggle, nothing. Could have been a lot bigger win, obviously, if Mo had his passing boots on.
Yeah, we'll get to that, mate. Don't you worry, yeah.
Yeah, but, these things happen, don't they? And it didn't really matter because the 3 points is the important thing.
Absolutely, mate. And the thing is, they tried roughing us up, but we've got two man mountains back there that can handle it now, that can give it out a bit as well. And
yeah, it really helps that Matip's upped his aggression because he was not just, he wasn't just sitting back and letting them come to him. He was taking it to them, and they don't like that because they don't know how to handle it. The forwards of Burnley at all. They want to be attacking the defender. They want to be throwing themselves in. They just really don't know how to handle it when the defender's coming at them.
Yeah, I mean, going back to Matip. We'll get to him in a bit in the player ratings, but it's to me, it's no coincidence. He's playing like a hybrid of Beckenbauer and Costa Curta. His contract's up next year.
Yeah. I thought it was just because he'd been listening to me personally and taking my advice to heart. But, I'll take your word for it that it's his contract.
He understands English and German, mate, not Scouse. We kept a clean sheet.
Yeah, exactly. About time.
It really was about time. That's a really, really good feeling.
It's a weight really off as well, I think, for Adrian.
Yeah. I mean, I thought he was a bit culpable for the goal against Southampton.
Yeah.
No, not Southampton.
Obviously.
Yeah.
You mean Arsenal?
Arsenal, yeah. I think the Torreira's goal. I thought he was a bit culpable for that, so he made amends. Exactly, like highlighting on what you were saying, mate. We could have easily won by more goals. Had a certain someone passed a bit more. We've mentioned,
but it's your fault because you told him to be more selfish. So I'm blaming you.
Yeah,
obviously they all listen to this. Only the players listen, obviously, and the management. But
no, they all listen to me, mate. Yeah, there's a distinction.
Well, if they do, they know now not to.
Mate, we have not taken any glory or anything, but we've mentioned in every podcast this season about Salah's greediness.
Only because you keep wanting to bang on about how he should be more greedy, and you like it when he's greedy.
Well, I didn't exactly say words to that effect.
You did actually say that, mate. You said about him, you like it when he's greedy. It did get brought up on the site as well after the game.
I like it when he's greedy, but not this greedy. Now
you're going to now you want him to change when it suits you.
No, there's no restriction.
Typical.
I just listen, mate. They've both been culpable of horrendous greediness in the last couple of seasons, but we've been scoring tons of goals, so it's been glossed over. I mean, let's inject some perspective here, right? Mane has been he's been super greedy as well. I remember games against last season against Everton and Spurs.
I'll be honest, mate. I don't think it really matters. I don't really. I just think it's a non-entity of a thing. It happens. Sometimes a player just thinks, "No, I can score this." They don't. It happens. It's only a mistake when he doesn't score. If he'd have put it in the back of the net, no one would have cared. That's what happens with strikers. They do make these decisions. It's not Bobby Firmino who'd always pass if the pass is on.
Yeah, that's another thing, mate. What I think we're guilty of also is comparing Salah and Mane to the most unselfish footballer I've ever seen in my life, Bobby Firmino. So Bobby's so unselfish. These two, in comparison, look super greedy. But listen, in my opinion, they used to both. Mane used to be super greedy, but somebody's had a word with him against Tottenham. I remember at Wembley when we beat them last season. He should have put Salah.
I remember. I know what you're going to say.
And Everton. He had that. Yeah, but
They
somebody's
both
had a
go
word with
through
him. I
it.
think.
It'll be the
Yeah,
same with
yeah.
Salah, just going through a patch where it's not coming off for him. But when Mane, that have been greedy quite a few times still now, but they're going in the back of the net, so it doesn't matter. That's what I'm saying. It's only because he didn't score, Salah, that anybody cares.
But the thing is, the point I'm making about Salah is he's trying to score wonder goals every time. And it's not going to be, I don't want it to be to the detriment of the team. That he should have passed it to Mane.
Yeah,
We
but
should have passed it. Mane had a tap in. But what I'm saying is the point, listen, I am Salah's greatest fan. I really am.
you're
I'm so
definitely not.
jingo
I
and
can
stick
tell
about.
you that. The word
No, no, no,
greatest
no,
in
no, no,
you
no.
is definitely not in
No.
any kind of...
Sentence.
Yeah,
No,
no,
I,
you're not.
I,
And any Egyptian, I
I.
can tell you, any Egyptian you meet in the world are bigger fans of Salah than you'll ever be. They're obsessed, mate.
I can imagine, mate. But I love him to bits, right? But the thing is, he should. He's going for goal. He's going for. He's going for worldies all the time, trying to take on 2-3 players when the pass is on. And the reason why nobody's saying anything to him because he's Salah. And now I think this is what Mane's issue is right. Mane was being greedy. Somebody's had a word with him, and he started passing a bit more. Now he's thinking, well, if I can do that, why can't Salah do that? You know?
Well, I still think it's only just because he didn't score that it matters. You know, I think that's the only problem here. You're saying about him beating 2-3. Yeah, he's still beating the players and creating the space for the shot. It's just not gone in the back of the net, and that's the only issue. If he scores, nobody cares.
No, I don't. I think this isn't isolated. I think what's happened is it's a culmination of Salah habitually not passing to Mane, right? And he's just blown his top. And listen,
I get
Mane,
that.
he shouldn't have had a meltdown. He shouldn't have had a meltdown in front of the whole world.
But I've got no problem with players getting upset about things like that. They used to do it on the pitch. They'd have an argument. That's what used to happen.
What, in training?
No, on the pitch when he didn't pass in the old days. If Dalglish should have got in a position like Mane was in, and Rush should have taken a shot on instead, do you not think Dalglish would have told him there and then exactly what he thought of him and exactly what he'd do to him if next time he got in that position he didn't pass it? They didn't mess about. It's become heightened because it's now on TV and that. Yeah, but they used to tell each other straight on the pitch. It really does. It's just, this is a non-entity of a story. That's what I'm saying is, the only issue is Salah didn't put it in the back of the net. That's it. If he scores, nobody cares. Doesn't matter that he didn't pass because it's in the back of the net. He made the wrong decision because he didn't finish it. That's it. End of. As far as I'm concerned.
I don't think that meltdown did us any favours in terms of the worldwide viewing public.
I really couldn't give a toss about that. I really couldn't give a toss, and I just think it's been turned into a bit of a laugh. There's some good, Millie's made sure it's turned into a bit of a laugh. So,
yeah, no. Listen to this. Salah has created more big chances than any other player in the last 3 years. 26 more than Mane, while scoring 28 more goals.
Exactly.
So
that's what I mean. Literally, if he scores, nobody cares. If he plays it in, Mane misses, it'll be it'd still be the same. Well, I could have had a shot, but that's it. It would have been. It's just it didn't go in the back of the net. That's the issue.
I cannot wait for the Newcastle game, though. That would be really, really good to see what happens because I guarantee you Salah will be passing a little bit more.
I still think if the chance is there, he should shoot.
Yeah, but a chance is relative and subjective.
And I
know
that he should have passed in those two situations. I agree that the wrong decision
Bobby
was
as
made.
well, yeah.
But this is why you pay him. That's why you paid the money to bring him in and put him on up front. It's because he scores goals.
No. I cannot concur with that at all. When you've got a simpler part, when you've got I can understand he's bought to score goals.
If he passes and he misses and the other guy misses, then it's just as much of a waste as it is if he just shoots it. So
no, but he's got a player and a goalkeeper ahead of him to put past. Who puts Mane in or Bobby in? They've got more chance of scoring than he has.
And I agree. That's the decision he should have made, as it looks in hindsight. But at the time, it's like
he knew, but Mane was there. It's not. He fucked up. Sorry about my language. He made the wrong decision.
Yeah, he made the wrong decision. But that's all it is.
And that's born out of selfishness and his need to be top scorer or whatever it is. And don't get me wrong, he probably had it in his head that Aguero had 6 goals already and he wanted to catch up with Aguero.
I don't care.
Think of the team.
I get what you're saying and I fully agree. If it was 1-0, I'd be, or 0-0, I'd be the same, but it's not, so it doesn't really matter. It was an easy victory, and it was going to be an easy victory, whether he passed or not. So, let him have a dig.
Well,
try and get his confidence up, ready for the next game.
Well, listen, if that's the if that's our only problem this season, that strikers having tantrums because we're not passing to each other at 3-0 up away from home, then I'll have that each week, mate. To be honest with you,
exactly.
Hey.
It's just a non-entity because they've got no story about us, so it's being overhyped. That was a pretty
routine win, mate. Hey, I didn't notice anybody giving Virgil van Dijk a bloody bollocking when he shot from 800 yards on the half volley or something when we were 2-0 up. Yeah.
There was lots of other mistakes. There's wrong decisions being made in every game by every player. It's just what happens, It's just it gets shot at more when it's a goalkeeper who makes the wrong decisions or a striker who makes the wrong decisions because they tend to be in those areas of the game where a goal is either missed or a goal goes in because of the choices they make.
Fair enough. So, in your mind, this is a storm in a teacup. It's blown over. It's done, dusted, and
Mane was just frustrated. I mean, you can't blame the lad. He wanted to score as well, but
he did score.
Yeah, he wanted to score. He knew that he could have scored that chance, or thought he could have scored that chance. So he thought he could have had another, and that's what he's frustrated about. So it's no different from Salah, taking it on himself, really. Klopp's the only one who's in a position to really have a moan.
He was cracking up.
Yeah, well, no, because the only thing it did is it meant that he couldn't make the substitutions as early as he wanted because we went 3-0, with a second one. When he didn't do it at 2-0, when he didn't pass to Bobby, it was 2-0, wasn't it? And he could have made an early substitution and just settled down, you know what I mean? Rested some legs and that.
Mate, it did give us some entertainment, that's for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, then. Anything to say on about Burnley?
What their performance?
Any standout players?
Well, I know you love that McNeil that plays on their left wing because you've been raving about him earlier.
I wasn't raving about him. I just don't think. I just don't know what all the fuss is about. Maybe he will turn into a superstar and a really good player.
He's just.
But I just don't think what the fuss. Yeah, the kid's only 19.
Works hard, decent enough technique, but he's not a world-class player in the making. No, not even close.
No. They reckon that there's top 6 sides circling around him. I'm not so sure, to be honest.
It must be either Man United or Spurs then, because they seem to buy a lot of rubbish. So.
But they're not top 6, mate. Oh my God, Spurs at 9th. Oh my, and that's
early days, but still.
I don't know, mate. I just think they're on a downward trajectory, to be honest with you. And I'm not trying to be
I think
all
they've improved
dramatic
this
or
season.
anything.
Signed well this season for a change. And Don Billy's a wonderful player. But they've got to keep him fit and playing.
I think he's going to take time to settle. He's not going to be. He's not going to. I think he's not going to hit the ground running. I think he'll need time to settle.
I think he'll be fine, mate. I think he'll be a very good signing for them.
I'm not denying that, but I just think it'll take a few months to settle, like Fab did, maybe. But yeah, I can see the makings of a player there for sure. All right, do you want to go on to the player ratings? Yeah,
could do. If there's nothing else about Burnley, you didn't want to have a rave about any of their other players. I mean, Eric Peters, quality player, is he not? Oh, yeah. God, he's awful, isn't he? He just kicks, and that's it. He hasn't got a clue. And he doesn't learn.
I think that... I think they're like... He's punching above it. They're punching above their weight, and you've got to give them their due. You've got to give them props for that. I think that... I think they're going to be found out this season, to be honest.
They did look a bit, but then we've improved. So is it that we're better or they're worse?
It's a good question. I think that again, I like their keeper. I think he's a good keeper.
Good shot stopper, but he's a bit dodgy at anything else, isn't he? You wouldn't want to, you wouldn't want him to be passing the ball out from the back or anything, or to do anything like catch the ball, because he doesn't seem to catch it, does he? He just stops it. You know what I mean? He's agile shot stopper, but I just don't think I'm not impressed with him in any other shape or form. For me, he's got one basic facet of the game right. He's a good agile shot stopper, but what does he do with it when he stops it?
Haven't they got 7 keepers or something? They've got
no, they offloaded Heaton, didn't they, to Villa? Who I think's was their best keeper. I think that's a huge mistake. I know he hasn't looked the same since coming back from injury, but you give him time to recover first, don't you? He was their best keeper by far, and they've kept hold of Hart. I noticed he was sat on the bench. I thought they got rid of him. I mean, what's on it?
Yeah.
Oh, he's dog turd, utter and complete dog turd of a keeper. He's been one of the worst keepers I've ever seen for years, and I've never rated him. I used to have this argument with Ed 3 on this. He used to reckon he was good. Never seen it. Never seen anything good about him as a keeper. Massively overrated because he's English.
Yeah. And he was an England international for a long time as well.
Oh, and I don't know why. He was just sheer strutting arrogance of crap.
What did you make of the Tarkowski and Me partnership? How did they play?
They really struggled. I mean, they were getting ripped apart. There was so much movement. It was one of those games where I just I feel sorry for their defence, to be honest. They weren't able to get into the play, get settled in like they want to, with settle in as a tight back line and keep deep and settle in because we scored. Well, once that happened, they were forced to come out a bit, Burnley, and play, and they just left spaces, and that meant they were exposed, and the midfield didn't protect them at all. Westwood,
not at all. We nearly scored.
Westwood was abysmal.
Yeah. We nearly scored in the first minute. To be fair, I mean, it was just it was a very, very easy victory, I think, and go on.
No, I was just going to say Sean Dyche will have been furious about that. He doesn't mind if his he can accept his team getting beat, but he hates it being an easy game for the opposition. He wants to see his players outwork the opposition, and they were totally outworked.
I was surprised that I didn't even know Lennon was still playing football.
He was on the surprise choice. And he was poor, though. He was really poor, and he looked like his legs had gone by the second half. I was surprised he stayed on for so long.
I think the guy, unfortunately, I think he's got some off-field issues as well with his mental health and stuff like that. So I'm not sure.
Yeah, but that move to Everton didn't do him any favours, did it?
Yeah.
Let's be honest, he's never recovered from that. I mean, you saw his face in the photographs. It's no wonder he suffered. To be fair, he really didn't want to go there. That was clear.
Yeah, that probably exacerbated the problem, to be honest, signing for Everton.
Well, you just think, I don't mean they said that. That wasn't actually meaning that as a dig at Everton. I mean, he didn't want to go there. The photographs, remember where he was so miserable? He's just thinking he clearly didn't want to leave. You know what I mean? And he's obviously had problems then, before that, and then he's forced into a move he didn't want to make, and it's just like it's obviously just spiraled from there. Bless him.
Yeah, no, I completely empathise with that situation, because when I was a kid, I left home and I went up north. And going from London to the northwest, people don't realise. I think a lot of people are guilty of this, me included. That you're getting 100,000 a week or £75,000 a week, right? You can live anywhere, but no, that's not really the case. I mean, if you're not happy, it will show, and it will show in your football, and it will show in your work, no matter where. If you're playing football, or even if you're, I don't know, working for Procter and Gamble or whatever it is, and whatever an employer, and you get shifted up north or somewhere you don't want to be, it could take a massive toll on your emotional health and your lifestyle and your happiness.
Very much so. And it clearly has for him. Yeah. He's never been the same as he was when he was when he first appeared.
At Spurs, yeah, when he was playing for Spurs.
Leeds he was at first. But I mean, when he first...
Oh, Leeds, yeah.
At first he was happy when he first moved to Spurs, and then he was playing well. Even though I'm not a big fan of his game when he's at his best, even. I thought he was more speeding. But I mean, it's clear something has happened, because he's not the same player.
Mate, who'd be happy leaving London? It's the epicenter of the world.
Me. I hated it.
Mate, you're not allowed in London. There's a difference.
Oh, it's horrible. I lived in Windsor. It was pretty. Well, Winkfield I lived, actually. The village nearby.
I lived in Windsor,
Very
mate.
Pretty. Winkfield. Beautiful place to look at and that. But it was full of bloody Londoners. I mean, for God's sake. And it didn't help that I was on Royal Estate, so we had all the royal family by it. I mean, we were right opposite Phil the Greek's pet projects. We was always over there. You're trying to walk your dogs and you'd have all these royal guards stopping you and asking you for ID. It's like I carry ID when I'm walking the dogs. You couldn't even go into Burger King for a burger because because one of the Wills or what's his face, Harry, were in there for a bit and they were stopping you outside, wouldn't let you in. For that, oh no, I didn't like it there at all.
You just couldn't handle and get your head around electricity and warm food.
You had running water inside the house and everything, You didn't even have to go down the yard for the crap. I mean, what's going on there? I mean, you get the paper, you go down the yard, and that's how you get a break from the family, innit? Get away from everyone. You couldn't even do that anymore.
I'm sure it was confusing times for you, and you couldn't wait to get back to your shit house.
Yeah, proper toilets, down the back of the yard.
I remember the first time, right, I experienced a crap in the out yard. What do you call them? Outside toilets, whatever. What did you guys call them?
What do you mean? That's what? Are you serious?
I don't know. I think didn't you guys have a special term for it? Anyway, outside toilet. Anyway, so.
God, you're so posh when you start talking like this. Oh.
So I must have been about. So we born and raised in London, right? So we got relatives in Blackburn, right? So I must have been about 6 or 7. So it takes 11 days driving up to frigging Blackburn, right? And so
11 days to drive up to Blackburn.
Whatever it is, right?
What were you in? Is this in a horse and carriage?
No, mate.
17th century when you were a kid.
Listen to this, right? Anyway, so it's like no maps, nothing, right? So we're driving up there, and next morning I asked where the toilet is, and they said it's outside, and I'm just a kid and I'm confused as anything like, and I'm thinking they're joking, and they're not. There's actually a brick outside toilet.
Brick.
Freezing cold, like whatever it was.
They
right?
must have been rich.
Cold, cobwebs all over the place, and I've never experienced anything like. I'm 6, and I'm thinking, how do these people live, the frigging heathens?
No,
you know what I mean? Outside toilets.
Hang on. You know what? You don't know you were born there. They were posh. They had a brick one. It wasn't even a wooden shed. I mean, come on. They're obviously rich. Well-to-do family, mate.
Well, what can you say, mate? But what I was stunned. I was flabbergasted.
Soft southern.
I couldn't believe it that you don't take a crap inside. It was like that you Philistine.
It's healthier. You go down the house, you're not getting the spreading, the bacteria around the house. Like, you're keeping it away. It's good for you.
Unreal. Couldn't believe it. And
in our house, it was always called the library because that was where my granddad would go to read the paper.
I like that.
Honestly, that's why I was thinking of you taking it. I wasn't sure if you were taking the mick about what it was called because we always just called it the library.
Oh, right, okay.
I wasn't sure if I'd said the story to you before or something.
No, I haven't heard that one, but that's funny, mate. But I'm not trying to be ignorant here, and I know. Do they still exist, or do people still use outside toilets up north?
I don't know where we were in Percy Street. They all got taken out by the council. My granddad was gutted because he when they came to fit inside bathroom, he made them leave that one there. He refused to let them knock it down and take it away because he wanted to, because it was his escape from the family. He liked to get peace and quiet. But then when he went away. He went on holiday. Have I ever told you the story about he went on holiday? Anyway, in fact, I'll tell you that story. I may as well just throw this in quick. He went to the cash and carry with his brother, and they're in this cash and carry, and this pot noodle's got to stand there saying, win a holiday to Acapulco in Mexico, all expenses paid, 5-star hotels, all this, like. My Uncle Teddy's filling in all these forms, and my granddad's there going, "Oh, don't be soft, Teddy. Nobody wins these things. They're a con." So my Uncle Teddy's like, "No, go on, George, fill one in." And my granddad's like, "Nobody ever wins these. Don't be soft, Teddy. You're wasting your time," and all this. After about an hour of cajoling, eventually he fills one in as well. My Uncle Teddy's filled out every single other form in the place. Literally, he stood there for about 2 hours, filling in all these forms till my granddad eventually filled in the last one, just put it in there. Anyway, about 2 weeks later, there was a phone call. My granddad answered it, and he's 4841, because that's how I answered the phone every time. 4841. And this guy on the other end says, "Hello, can I speak to Mr. Martin, please?" And my granddad's like, "Speaking." He said, "I'm phoning from Golden Wonder to tell you you've..." And all he said was, "Fuck off, Teddy, you're not funny," and put the phone down. Honestly. And this went on for days. They kept phoning back and saying, "Look, no, honestly, no, we're from Pot. No, we're Pot." And he just put the phone down on him, sounds the F off, and put the phone on and went on for weeks. And he eventually had to send people to the door with all the paperwork and all that before he believed it. But anyway, he's on this holiday to Acapulco. And when he comes back, the only thing he's bothered about is they've knocked down his toilet while he's gone because my uncle thought it'd be a good idea, good prize for him, a nice surprise for him. Have it turned into a proper coal shed. Granddad was gutted, absolutely gutted.
I can imagine it being a World Heritage site or something.
That was his only escape. Bless him.
Oh, mate, I'm so happy for modernity, I tell you that.
Can you imagine what he was like in Acapulco, though? I mean, it was hot there. You could tell it was hot there because my nan took one of her pair of tights off and she only wore 3 cardigans to you. She wore 3 because she used to wear about 6 cardigans everywhere, even in the house, no matter how cold it was, because she had thin blood. So she would always wear these. She'd wear like 17 pairs of tights and 6 coats and all this everywhere. All the time.
Can you imagine your grandfather's chagrin going for a crap inside for the first time in his life?
Oh, he was gutted, and especially when he was in Acapulco, he was absolutely gutted because everything was all posh and that, and it was all indoors. It's like, well, what's with this, One minute. This
was what? How many years ago?
Oh, a long time ago now. I was still in school, so I think it must be in 80s. It was in the 80s because Harrison Ford was famous, and they met him in the hotel. And he was like, and he said to him, how can you afford a hotel? You know, how can you afford the holiday here then, George? You must be rich and all this. Are you in oil? And I was like, no. Are you in, and then he's gone through all these, so you must, are you a CEO and that? I mean, I just said, no, man, I'm an ambulance man, and he just walked off. Never spoke to him again, to Harrison Ford. He only wanted to speak to him if they were rich. He obviously thought he'd finance his next film, or something. And my granddad was gutted because all he wanted was to be able to tell me he'd met Han Solo, because obviously I loved Star Wars at this point, because it was before, it was in while they were still doing the films, like Star Wars films.
Yeah, that is funny. He could have called his next film The Outside Toilet.
Yeah. I just can't imagine my granddad financing it. I mean, he's got the same name as the guy. He had the same name as the guy who discovered the Beatles, so that didn't help. Except he turned down the Beatles when he had the chance. I must have told you that one when he had the Beatles. He did a show because Ken Dodd was his best mate. He grew up with Ken Dodd, and it was because of him that Ken Dodd was discovered, because he filled in a spot. Because my granddad used to be a stand-up comedian as well, and a ventriloquist.
Oh, did you?
And stage magician, and something else as well. I've forgotten. Oh, he played the accordion.
Ukulele.
No, the accordion.
Was that
squeeze box?
Was your granddad your uncle who's a stand-up comedian's father?
Yes, that's where he got it from, because he used to watch him coming in, seeing him getting all dressed up to do his act and that, But anyway, right, he did this one show he did one for the ambulance service, a benefit show he put on, got Ken Dodd to headline it, obviously it's in Liverpool, big show. They had a whole load of acts before, they had then an interval, and then a whole load of acts afterwards. Now this one group, they were 10th on the bill, called the Beatles, were on it. This shows you how long ago it was. They were 10th on the bill.
Yeah.
And they were meant to be doing a set before the interval and then a set after the interval. Right. Except they did the set before the interval. They were so bad. Ken Dodd said to me, Granddad, George, you're going to have to pay these off, because if these come back for the second set, there'll be nobody left for me to perform to at the end. So they paid them off to get rid of them.
And look what happened there.
I've
got a great
year for music, my granddad. He said they couldn't play their instruments.
I've got a great idea.
So we should do a Liverpool podcast.
We should do a Liverpool podcast, mate. Yeah. Let's get
sorry about that, everyone. I forgot what we were doing.
Let's get to the players' ratings, mate.
Apologies.
I don't think we're gonna have time to do the ratings.
Oh God, I can't believe I did that. I forgot what we were doing.
Oh, you have put everyone to sleep. You put the whole world to sleep, I think, now.
Well,
all right, mate.
It keeps them busy.
Yeah. It gives them something to do their ironing to.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, mate. Let's start with Adrian. I gave him a 7. He was unemployed for most of the game. He made 2 smart stops from, I think, Woods and Rodriguez. For my liking, he's very statuesque still. Stays on his line a bit too much. Yeah, and but in this game, his kicking and distribution was much better. Didn't take any undue risks and did what he had to do. Now, let me ask you about that coming off his line. Is that something he's done throughout his career, stayed on his line, or is it just something that...
Yeah, he's slow off his line.
I mean, I had this conversation with my mate when I'm watching the game. It's like he's in the 6-yard box for a corner's coming into the 6-yard box. He won't come off his line to take it. I don't understand. I thought that's an instinct for a goalkeeper. That's what they train. That's what they get taught. That's what a keeper's meant to do.
If you watch, the Spanish don't really deal with crosses well at all. So maybe it's just that.
He's not played it.
He played in Spain
for years.
Yeah, but he's trained in Spain. He's taught in Spain. He's grown up
he,
Spanish. You know what I mean? He tends to know. I think you could safely put it down to his Spanish. He would have gained the basics of his game there.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, he does. I mean, for me, that's the only thing he does give. If I was a defender, he'd give me kittens when it coming for crosses, for sure, or not coming for crosses.
Do you know what? I don't mind that so long as the defence know what he's doing. I think the problem is when a keeper sometimes comes and sometimes doesn't, and so a defender doesn't know what to do, like used to happen in the past.
Mignolay with Miggs, yeah.
Or David James was another one. Though we went through a phase when he realised the defence was so bad they were just going to duck under everything. So he'd literally come for everything, and then he'd end up flapping at half of them. You know, I'd rather. You just need to know what your keeper's doing. You know, you want a keeper that works. You know, that you know what they're doing, and then you can work with them. When you've got players who can, I mean, everything was hitting Van Dijk anyway. I mean, that guy was just incredible. So why does he need to come for anything? You may as well leave it to Van Dijk. He's going to get rid of it anyway.
So what you're saying is, as long as the defence knows that he's not going to come for the majority of corners, crosses, balls into the box, they know that in their head, so they can deal with it, and there's no confusion or mishap.
Yeah, exactly. They don't need to. They don't need him to come out for everything. If they know, you know, what they need him to do is be consistent and to know what he's going to do. Because then they can do. They can either go and head it themselves, or they can say, right, I'll drop back onto the line to cover or whatever, so the keeper can come out and get it. They just need to know what they've got to do, and they know what they've got to do. They clear it.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And Van Dijk does.
Yeah, that was just.
I mean, how many times did that ball hit his head? And it's just he's always in the right place. That was brilliant play.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I totally, I agree, mate. What's the? I mean, I must say, Adrian didn't take any risks this game. He just kicked it, and when there was any defender coming onto him, passed it to. He made the right passes, and his distribution was much better. And didn't take any risks, to be honest with you. So I think he had a really good game, a solid game. He didn't know that Wood's chance was offside. He made that stop.
He still saved it, didn't he? Yeah,
exactly. And he made a really good stop from Rodriguez as well. So really liked his game actually on Saturday. But the cross things is just a little minus.
Well, I'd rather he didn't come out than he came out and missed it.
Gotcha.
At least he's got a chance of dealing with the header if he's on his line. If he's come out and he flaps at the cross, then it's over, isn't it?
Yeah. I have a sneaky feeling that I think Alisson will be back for the Chelsea game. So we've got 2 weeks break now for the international football. I think then a week for there's another week with the Newcastle games. I think he'll only be in goal for one more game, and he's been an absolute able deputy in the time Alisson's been out, and I'm just hoping he's played enough for a Premiership medal.
It doesn't work like that anymore. You just get X amount of medals.
You have to play 5.
No, you get X amount of medals now, don't you? Or am I missed? I thought the way it worked now was the team gets given, the club, gets given this X amount of medals, and then they distribute them as they see fit.
Oh, really? I thought they had to play 5 or 8 games, and then
it used to be you had to play a specific number, but I think they've changed the rules recently.
Okay, mate. Well, he'll for sure get one then.
I hope so. But I'm not gonna count me chickens like you.
Mate, I booked. I remember last year when we were 7 points.
Yeah, and what did I tell you about it? I said you're a bloody Jonah. Don't do it. Would you listen? No.
Booked the hotel, the flight, and everything.
I knew it, and you cost us it. I told you that when you did it. I said the moment you did it, we're not going to win it.
Mate, it was
stupid.
Idiotic,
moronic. Which one?
No, worst case scenario. I've got I still came over, watched the last game of the season. I played against Wolves. I had a nice night out in Liverpool, and I got to see my family and friends.
So your family and friends had to suffer because of you.
yeah. All right. We can move on to Trent. I gave him a 7.5. For me, this was his best defensive performance since the beginning of the season. I thought he played McNeil very well and was the architect of the second goal, even though he ddidn't mean it. And all round he had a good game.
Wasn't that the first he hit?
The first game, the first goal. No, Mane was the first goal, wasn't it? Or was it the second? Yeah, was it Mane scored the first goal?
No, it was I thought the first one was. Oh, for God's sake! How old are we? Our memories are completely gone.
Oh my God! This is dementia and Alzheimer's kicking in.
I could have sworn this was the first one. I can't remember now. I'll take your word for it. I'm not going to argue. Can't be bothered to look at
One minute. No. We cannot not remember that. That is. Maybe it was the first goal.
It doesn't matter. It's a goal we've scored. We won. That's it. That's what matters.
How does it not matter that we can't remember something from Saturday? Something that, of course, it matters. I'm worried now.
Oh God.
Maybe it was. Maybe you're right. Maybe Trent did score the first goal, and then Mane got. When did Mane score? In this last minute of the second half. First half.
I can't remember. I can't remember now.
Oh my God! This is worrying. I'm disturbed.
I could remember an old story from before I was born, but not this.
Oh my God!
Oh God!
You better book an appointment with the doctor, mate. Honestly, you need help.
I need to book you one. You're meant to be researching and writing all this down to talk about.
You meant to have a memory.
No, I've never had a memory. I've always had a memory like a goldfish. Anybody who knows me will tell you, even when I was a kid, I never had any good memory. I remember the most ridiculous, stupid bits of trivia. They stick in my head for years. Anything useless, stick in my head for years. Anything you actually need to know, I don't know, forget it. It's gone.
Yeah, you're right. Trent scored.
I usually am, to be fair, but.
Oh my God, that is worrying. Yeah, it was an own goal in the 33rd minute, and Mane scored in the 37th minute.
There we go. See?
Yeah,
I was right. Do you want to say that again? What was I?
You wasn't very sure about it.
Not that sure I was going to argue about it, let's be sure.
What did you think of Trent?
I thought he did really well. I mean, the lads had a couple of chances to run at him, and he came to nothing, really. So, can't really argue with it.
He kind of telegraphed his play, because he always wanted to go on the outside, did McNeil. So I think that made Trent's job a lot easier, but he did what he did. He did what he had to do.
To be fair, do you not think Trent made sure he went on the outside? I thought he was showing him the outside to be certain.
Yeah.
Even though usually against Burnley, players don't, because they don't want, normally most teams, they want to show him on the inside because they don't want him to cross. Because obviously, Burnley got two big headers of the ball up there. But Trent was happy to show him on the outside because A, you got a good chance of blocking across, and B, when you've got Van Dijk there, every ball seems to hit his head in the air, even if he's not in the, even if he's nowhere near the box, it seems to just skew off someone and go to his head. He seems to be it's like he's got a sixth sense of where to be in that game. It was unreal.
He really, really was but we're going to get to Virgil in a minute, but.
Finish off on Trent first before you get to that.
Let's finish Trent. So I was very happy with Trent. It was he definitely has upped his defensive game against Burnley. So I'm giving him an 8
improving his delivery though.
Yeah, but he scored a goal.
I know, but you can't. I know how often do we say about how great a delivery he has in his poor defensive? He has a good defensive game and struggles a bit with his delivery. It's sod's law, isn't it?
Yeah, so they reckon Wan-Bissaka will be the first choice England right back, and I'm so happy to hear that. To be honest,
See,
the less games he plays, the better for me.
I wouldn't want to choose between those two, though, would you? I mean,
No, but I'm happy
Alexander-Arnold's such a good. Wan-Bissaka's a good player, but surely,
I think what they're thinking is England have got other. They've got an embarrassment of riches in other
and
areas.
England's
where
a
they
crap and they can't put the ball in. I don't think embarrassment of riches, England. I mean,
well, they've got a golden crop of young players coming up, and I think that they can.
I don't really see that myself personally, but there you go.
No,
I hear this every single. I've been hearing this every single year since I was born. I think golden crop. It's the golden generation. It's the every single year. That's all we ever hear. Every tournament going into it. This is the one England are going to win. Yeah, and they never do.
I think if you put a Klopp, a Guardiola, or a Bielsa, or someone of that caliber with these kids at the moment, I think they'll be. I just think
maybe if they had a decent. You mean if they had a decent coach, there might be a chance. Yeah, I'd agree with that, but they haven't. They've got Gareth Southgate, so they're crap, and they play really bad football. It's awful to watch England. Anyway,
why give the guy an extended contract on the back of that?
Because the FA are clueless.
World Cup. It was such
the media were up his ass saying how great England were, and they were dire. I mean, they only played one decent team and they lost to them. How was that a good tournament? I don't know. And every single game, the only thing they created was set pieces.
When push came to shove,
Sean Dyche in there. He'd have done a better job.
Yeah.
But at least he'd have been honest.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't understand the mentality of. I think the English FA, it's been a tradition of theirs not to put the right man in the job. Like, they didn't give it to Clough all those years ago. He should have been England manager. They didn't give it to him. I think the only appointments they got right, to be honest, were Venables and Hoddle. And Robson, to be fair.
Robson, but it was the one I was thinking, yeah.
They made, but then I just don't think Southgate's the right man for the job. I think that one thing England have done really well is if they just don't want to hire Englishmen predominantly. I mean, they'll go look overseas as well. They'll have a foreign coach if it means success for the national side, which I do applaud and respect. And
but they only did that because the English ones, the options were so bad. That was the only reason.
Well,
for Sven and that.
I thought,
and they were even then they picked They picked the most English managers they could find. So what's the point?
Blackburn Rovers, yeah. I think that. No, but Capello was a good choice. I thought Capello was a good choice.
He played dire football as well. I mean, that's what I'm saying. They're just boring football, English style football they went for rather than going for somebody young and up and coming. They could have had Bielsa back then. Why not do that? Because they weren't looking at who was the best up and coming one. They were looking at who'd done things in the past. It's all about the past for them.
Yeah, but Bielsa working with the English national side is a recipe for disaster.
No, it isn't. Not with the national side where look at what he did with Chile. Just give him time, and he turned them into a side that then went on.
They win two Copa Americas. Yeah,
and it was because of his work.
Yeah,
because he developed them into a proper team.
Yeah, but those stuffy suits at the FA, he'd rub them up the wrong way. That's why I'm saying.
Yeah, but that's the problem. It's them.
Yeah.
Until they're gone, England will never be any good.
Exactly.
Why are we talking about England? I thought we were talking about Trent.
I don't know.
God, we are terrible at this. We are terrible at this. We really should give up doing podcasts because we're useless on it. Well, what happened to doing the player rate? Who are we on to? Matip. Come on, get on to Matip.
Joe Matip, right. consistent, again, not getting bullied by Ashley Barnes' shit-house tactics, playing with strength, composure, and above all, intellect. Long may it continue. I gave him an 8.5.
He did make a couple of passes that were still doing those threaded needle passes that just weren't on. But other than that, he was... I mean, again, it's like the last game where I was just saying I'm reaching for things to criticise. To try and give another view rather than to criticise for the sake of criticising. Get what I mean? I'm just trying to give a... what's the word? The opposite view? A devil's advocate.
Objective.
Devil's advocate. I'm trying to be the devil's advocate and point out what he did wrong. And that is all I can think of because he was aggressive, he closed them down. He did what Barnes didn't like and he got at him. Rather than letting Barnes get at him, he got at him. And Barnes spent the entire game throwing himself to the floor because he couldn't handle it. He couldn't bully him.
Moaning. He was moaning all game.
And he was throwing those elbows about like mad.
Yeah.
And you're thinking every single time he goes in for the challenge, he's making a foul. But then he's complaining he's being fouled and he's rolling around on the floor. And you're thinking, get up, you cheating bar steward.
He need Matip in the back.
That had to be a booking, and he didn't get one. I mean, how is that not a booking? It's a deliberate attempt to injure a player. Because that's what he's doing. He's trying to make sure that he can't move freely. That's like when you kick someone deliberately on the thigh. When you were kids and you used to go around, you'd smack your mate on the thigh all the time, wouldn't you, trying to give him a dead leg? It was what he was doing. He was trying to put pain on it, trying to hurt his back so he couldn't move freely. That was deliberate.
I didn't beat my mates up. We just played football and cricket. So
well, of course
anyway.
You didn't beat your mates up because they all picked on you because you were because you didn't actually have any mates. So
yes,
I bet you were the last one picked at every game and everything, weren't you?
Yeah. So I started hanging around with your mum. What was I going to say?
Well, you're old enough.
But he was amazing. Mate, he was tremendous one again. And let me just say something about these slide rule passes that you don't like and you want him to iron out of his game.
I don't want him to iron them out of his game. No, what I want him to do is not play them in
somebody,
yeah, what I want him to do is not play them in a game like that where you've got a packed midfield and they're all in there, so there's nowhere to pass. There's no way it's going to go through. In an open game, when the game opens up and they're coming at you and you've picked up a loose ball and you can play a pass through, perfect. He does them brilliantly. He's a really good passer.
Yeah.
Because then they're accurate. That's not the problem. The problem is he's playing them into a congested midfield and it's got to go through 4 or 5 players before it reaches anyone, and it just doesn't happen. Somebody can get across and block it, and that's where he's going wrong.
I get your point, but here's mine. I don't want him to stop what he's doing because at the moment he's playing to such a high level for Joel Matip, and I don't want him to take anything from his game so it lessens his impact and the way he's playing at the moment.
I'm just coming up with things to criticise to be a devil's advocate because you said how great he is. That's all I'm saying is I'm not really saying it's it's something that's got. It would be nice if he improved it, but everybody makes mistakes. Like I was saying earlier, nobody's perfect. You got to get things wrong because you're human. And I'd rather he got that wrong than he let somebody past him. So
it's unheard of that Joel Matip. That Gomez replaces him now. Correct?
Well, it depends on if he's injured from that knee in the back. But on form alone and on the way they're playing, you'd have to be mad to swap him right now. Much as I love Gomez, right now he's got to sit on the bench and watch. It's just the way it is, unfortunately, for Joe. Sorry, my throat.
Yeah. Matip is undroppable now, right? The Virgil and Matip central defensive pairing has to stay until there's a loss of form or injury.
Yeah, exactly. And it's certainly... So Virgil now, then. Come on, I'm moving you along this time before we get distracted on something.
All right, Virgil got a 9.
Yeah, he's 9.5, surely.
All right, mate.
I knocked half off for that shot.
Yeah. That nobody gave him a bollocking for.
But I couldn't. I've got to be honest. When I was watching it, I was thinking, "Go on, have a dig. You may as well. Go on, have a shot.
Yeah.
Sod it. Why not?"
Mate, no. You know what? I'm not entirely happy unless we're 3-0 up. I don't care. I just want us to be 3-0 up and then start taking risks, because as you saw against Arsenal, Spurs Arsenal game, 2-0 is not unassailable.
Yeah,
it's
a bit different. So it's it is Spurs, and they're not at the best. And they did have Davinson Sanchez in their back line, which is always a massive risk. And Danny Rose. I mean, come on.
They're 2 extra players for the opposition. That's
exactly
like 13 against 9. All right, let's get back to Virgil. He repelled almost everything Woods and Barnes threw at him in the air and
every
along the
ball
ground.
into the box and from a set piece went to his head.
Yeah,
I really do. I was trying to remember if there was one that didn't hit his head or hit him. You know what I mean? Headed a clear line. What's the one? I can't think of one. I'd love to know if there is one that didn't hit his head, because I can't remember. I really can't remember one not being cleared by his head.
So you think every cross that came into the ball, 100%, all the crosses that came in the ball, Virgil headed them out?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I don't remember any one that he didn't head clear. Can you?
Yeah, I think Matic got to a couple of them.
Did he? He might well have done, and I'm forgetting, and I'd apologise if I'd got it wrong. But I seem to remember it just felt like everything thrown into the box hit his head. I'm talking about set pieces, not crosses from open clay.
Mate, this is what Virgil does. It was another masterclass.
Yeah, it was absolutely exceptional.
And along the ground as well. Nothing went past him along the ground. It was just...
You kind of expect that against Burnley, though, because they don't really play it along the ground, to be fair.
Yeah. But it was, like you said, his positioning was so on point. He was there before the player had even passed it. I mean, it was like a sixth sense. It was like he was in cruise control. Wasn't even trying.
Yeah, it was a bit easy for him. I think he had the cigar and the deck chair out at one point.
Mate, it was just a sight to behold. This guy clearly is vibrating and playing on a level that is above anything else on the planet at the moment. I mean, you can't name a better defender, can you? Central defender, anyway.
Oh, well, obviously you've got to say Harry Maguire now, because he's a world record fee, and we all know what a great player he is, because we saw that in every game they've played since, when he's been absolutely nowhere to be seen on the goals conceded.
Yes, but he's an £80 million bargain.
I know, and he's playing for Manchester United, and he's English, so he must be the greatest player in the world. You've got to say that, remember?
I absolutely thought, honestly, I thought we'd really overpaid for Virgil, and it was for obviously the other reasons we had to pay up the 75. We paid, I think it was 25 million more because we were going to get in trouble, but it seems like an absolute bargain now.
Yeah, you only ever know with the value of a signing when they finish. You know what I mean? Yeah, I seen something. I sent you some things from Business Insider. Were doing a thing about forwards as well and the price of them, and you're talking about hundreds of millions of pounds Neymar's cost PSG per goal and that and stuff like that. I mean, you can't really tell these things though until after they've signed and they've spent some time at a club. You can only know the value of a signing then, because even the best signing can turn out to just not fit in.
What do you think of Maguire though? Do you think he will? Do you think he will come good, or do you think
he's got no reading of the game? He's
got what?
Sleepwalks. He can't read the game. He sleepwalks through the game. He's constantly ball watching. He gets dragged out too far to the left all the time. And I mean, that's quite useful for United in one respect, because Shaw goes missing constantly. But it means his defensive partner's absolutely on his own, as was seen, already this season. He's already been at fault. Maguire's been at fault for a goal. badly at fault,
I
where
think
he's just constantly caught.
I think Lindelof's hit his plateau as well. I don't think them two are the answer.
I don't think Lindelof's that bad, though he lacks aerial ability. He's not a bad player, but he's just trying to cover for. He's going to be trying to cover for Maguire, and it's just no good for him. Yeah, it'll be an improvement on Jones and Smalling, mine. To be fair.
Well, my dustbin will be an improvement.
Well, exactly. You could have put me Nan in there instead of them, and it'd have been an improvement. So it's not really saying much, but still, it is something. It's a step forward, and only £80 million spent for it.
Why would they? What's going? I mean, I think we may be doing a podcast on United and Real Madrid, and
we should leave this there, actually, shouldn't we? And we'll do that after.
Yeah, we will do that. But what I'm saying is, why do you think that, just quickly, Manchester United, the footballing juggernaut that they are, why would they pay £80 million for a player? And again, this is subjective. Who can't do the basics right?
Because, how many defenders can? There's very few. But it's simple. It's bad recruitment practice. They've got, they haven't got the right backroom staff picking out the right players to sign. They've got a policy in place. Scout? Well, they've got a policy in place. They're trying to buy British. They're trying to build a British core. It's the wrong thing to do. You just buy the best players, not the best from a nation. I understand some people will say, "Oh no, but it's good to have a British core and all that." And yeah, it's nice if you can get it. But it shouldn't be the be-all and end-all. It should just be, if it happens, if there's two players of equal ability and you're an English team and one's English and one's French, then, if they're of equal ability, you take the English one, that's fine. Get that? That makes sense. But if you've got two players, you've got Harry Maguire who can't defend, and then you've got those two centre-backs at, say, RB Leipzig, could have gone for instance, I'm saying, that probably cost about the same price. Why would you take Maguire, who's far worse than either of those two at the back for RB Leipzig? It makes no sense.
Upamecano, I think his name is.
Upamecano and the other guy whose name I forget completely.
Yeah.
But him as well. I think he's French as well, isn't he? The other one. But they got two excellent centre-backs there, young. So perfect for what they're looking for, and they're supposedly looking for a young core. I just don't get it. Much better players, better on the ball, better. The only thing Maguire beats him in is aerial ability. He's great at a set piece, great at attacking them, and he's great at defending them. That's it. That's his only quality for me.
Right, and along the ground, it's not going to happen for him.
I'm just not a fan of him at all.
I don't
think he's that good. I just don't think they made him cost. When you're paying that much money, you need to be buying world-class players, and he's not.
You're not getting bang for your buck with Maguire at 80 minutes for sure. Yeah, you're right.
No, you'd have been better spending it elsewhere.
Yeah. All right, mate. Let's get back to Virgil.
So we're still doing. Are we still on a Liverpool podcast? Because I'm forgetting.
Yeah, we are. Yeah. All right, mate. Robbo. I felt he wasn't troubled defensively. He was afforded acres of space time and time again.
It was a bit of an easy game for him, weren't it?
Yeah. He was overlapping for fun, but I felt his crossing let him down at times.
Yeah.
Again,
both of them were struggling a bit with
7.
Yes, both of the fullbacks struggled a bit offensively, but he certainly didn't struggle with Lennon. Lennon really didn't. I thought he got forward brilliantly, but he just didn't get his distribution right today. Today. Yeah. Saturday.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, mate. It's Monday today. The game was 2 days ago. Yeah.
Sure, it's Tuesday.
Yeah. So it was.
Tuesday,
mate,
here.
Don't trust my memory.
It's Tuesday here.
Yeah. It's Labour Day here. Monday. Anyway,
Labour
Day.
So what, do you have a Tory Day as well?
Boom, boom. I've set him up. You knock him down, mate. So I gave him a 7, mate. Is there a better back four in world football?
Well, when you've got the better, I can't think of a better centre back than Van Dijk, and he is head and shoulders above the rest, isn't he? Let's be honest right now. So that on its own, I mean, yeah, but what I mean is you've got a big advantage there. When you add the rest in, I mean, can you think of a better left back? There's a few I like as much, but they're totally different players.
Yeah.
Like the Everton one, Dean or whatever. I mean, he's a good
Digny.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few that are probably as good as Robertson, but totally different style of players and wouldn't suit our system. But as a set group 4 that work as well, as a collective, do you know what? I don't know, because they've got such a massive advantage in that midfield in front of them. You look at the Chelsea midfield without Kante at the weekend. They were being overrun, not because the defence was at fault. It was because the midfield was just not able to protect them without Kante, and they were completely being overrun because of the midfield rather than the defence. Liverpool's midfield protects the defence so well that it's difficult to judge that defence, because they just don't really have to. They're not really being put under any pressure. That's not a bad thing either, because it's the same when Man City's is awful, but they can get away with it because their midfield and attack make sure they don't ever get tested. So, and we're heading that way.
It's a tireless midfield. I was thinking today, where would Nabil Fekir where would he have fitted in? Where would he have played?
He'd have probably been on the bench with Mane complaining.
Exactly, that Salah's not passing to him.
No, complaining that he didn't get a game.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, where?
No, I meant the one next. Because Millie said about when he didn't get brought. It was complaining about not being brought on. That was what Mane was moaning about. Remember, right. I was saying he'd have been the one next to him. So it was because of him not being.
Yeah.
Never mind. I'm sorry, I have to explain. Well, you have to explain the joke. It's obviously crap, so I apologise for that one.
Don't apologise to me. Apologise to the viewer, mate.
That's who I was apologising. I'm saying not apologising to you. Christ, I'm not going to waste an apology on you, mate.
Yeah. All right, mate. So let's get to Fab. Oh my God, he was peerless again. I gave him.
Yeah, exactly. He's brilliant.
I gave him an 8.5. Maybe I should have given him a 9. I don't know. He's undroppable. Another top draw performance. He does the dirty work so efficiently and quietly. You sometimes think he's anonymous or playing badly. I mean, just love the guy. Love his attitude. Love his personality. Love his wife. I love everything about this guy. He's so invested. His wife is just.
Oh, she's definitely invested, isn't she? Yeah.
Oh my.
She's a proper Liverpool cheerleader. She is.
Mate, I would take.
No, you wouldn't.
Anybody crosses.
She wouldn't go anywhere near you. Don't get your hopes up.
Mate, I won't be tired anyone that crosses her husband, because she's fierce, mate. I love her. She's brilliant. But yeah, Fab, he's just. I mean, what ridiculous stories Real Madrid trying to sign him for 40 million. That's just absurd. Absurd.
I think they missed an O off it. They definitely missed a zero off. 400 million, maybe we'd think about it, but
you can have his left leg. Where do they come up with stories like this? I mean,
they dream them up.
What a player! What a player! Just he's had his listen. He came in, he played not great. He was intelligent enough and modest enough and humble enough to take a back seat for a few games, read the game and study the game, study our system, and look what has happened. The fruits of his labour.
It's been brilliant. Fair play. I can't remember him having a bad game, even when he's played at centre-back.
The only bad games he's had, mate, is when he initially came into the side, and then, as I say, he took a step back, looked at it. He came from an objective, omniscient point of view, and look what's happening now.
I don't think he was bad even when he first came in. It was just Klopp thought he wasn't attacking enough.
He wasn't as good as he is now.
Oh, wasn't
he's
as good.
consistently
He's much
putting
better
in.
now. But I mean, I still thought he was all right when he first came in. He just wasn't getting forward and assisting as well. Getting into the attacking areas like he does now. Because now we'll see where the others are, and sometimes he'll move forward as well. Whereas when he first came, he'd just sit.
Yeah. I like the fact that he's getting into those offensive players, but he's still playing the ball to the forwards kind of thing. He's not going for glory. He's such a team player. He gives his everything for the team. It's all about the collective rather than he's left his ego at the door. Do you get what I'm saying?
He's been an excellent signing.
We've been really, really lucky with recruitment, to be honest, for the last couple of years.
I don't think it is luck, though. If you look at it, I don't think it's luck at all. They've spent a lot of money on getting a recruitment system in place. Getting the right stats guys in, and then getting Klopp to listen to them, and then obviously the right scouts to check the players that their stats guys throw up and all that. There's a lot of work going into the recruitment.
Oh, that's interesting. So, is it still the transfer committee, or is it de facto, or is it just a diluted version?
Every club has a committee these days. Big clubs, they always have a committee. It's the way it works.
Right.
Can you imagine Klopp having time to go and look at all these players himself? Even on video, he's got a club to, coaching to organise and all that, tactics to sort out. He's got to watch the opposition as well and stuff. There's just no time to do it all. So you have to have a committee of people, and it's just getting the right people in who understand each other, who understand the club's needs, and can work together properly. Know each other's strengths and weaknesses, and know what bits they need to look at and what bits they don't need to look at. Because the stats analysis is a massive part of it now.
So this is fascinating stuff for me anyway. I mean, okay, so what's the distinction between Rodgers' time and Klopp's time when it comes to recruitment and the transfer committee, and what's different now? Or is it the same, or is it just...
There's a lot more... Klopp listens a lot more to other people who are in better positions, for starters. Rodgers would tend to trust his own judgment a lot more than Klopp. Klopp will trust his own judgment, but what I mean is he'll listen to other people rather than just making a decision that he wants every time. Sometimes he can be persuaded, and it's as with Salah. It was the stats guys that threw up Salah. He wasn't sure.
Because Salah was third or fourth choice, wasn't he, for Klopp? Yeah, bloody hell.
Fourth choice. Can you imagine that now? I can't think of four players that I'd choose in his position over him now. He's one of the when you consider there's him, Mbappe, and Messi play that role.
You couldn't. You wouldn't. I mean,
it's those three are it is which of those three is the best right now.
I was watching Pepe on yesterday. Just to make a comparison between Salah and I was just, I mean, undoubtedly he's a very skillful player, is Pepe. But what I'm saying is, he's nowhere near the level of Salah at the moment.
He's a bit clumsy. His touch is off. It's very poor, especially when he's running. Where Salah keeps the ball, it's like it's on a shoestring to him when he's when he's running. It's tied to him. With Pepe, it's a bit hit and miss, isn't it?
Hit and miss, yeah. And I was watching that yesterday. I was thinking that even if Salah had left and we'd got Pepe as a replacement, I wouldn't be that happy, to be honest with you. I wouldn't be overjoyed, but yeah. So. Yeah, you're saying he was fourth choice, but my question was, now, are the same people in place under Klopp as they were under Rodgers?
It has been changed. I mean, it was changed under Rodgers as well. It was altered at the time, but the stats analysis people are still the same ones, yeah. The basics
right. Now,
that are throwing up the players to look at.
Oh, so I thought, Oh really? Who's the? Okay,
it's the same ones that said that convinced FSG to go and get Klopp in the end.
Okay, so this is Brian Fallows and a couple of others, right?
Yeah, I forget their names now.
Because he's the guy we recruited from Man City, the head scout.
No, it's not the head. I'm not talking about their scouts. I'm talking about the stats analysis guy.
Stats analysis. Oh, right. No. Yeah, but I'm talking about the whole.
Yeah, the scout. I mean, scout's job is just to go and have a look and see if they can see anything different from what the stats show up. You know what I mean? They're not really. They're either they're basically going there and saying, no, the stats may be good, but he's got a problem with this, a problem with that, or to say, yeah, the stats are good. And he's got this, he's got that the stats didn't show up, like pace and things like that, I'm assuming. I don't know what the stats... They've got advantage. I mean, I can see what stats, like Y Scout shows up, but I don't know what stats we get and at Liverpool, I don't know what they've got to hand to look at. They probably have a lot more in-depth ones.
So what you're saying is Klopp is not working as autonomously as Rodgers was. He's taking in advice. He's listening to people.
That's his strength. Is because it was the same with Shankly. If you look at it, what made him so good wasn't because he was great. Wasn't just because he was great. It's because he had the right people around him and he listened to them. The problem is, it was the same with Clough. When he was great, he was listening to people. When his time was, when he lost his way, was when he stopped listening. That was when it went wrong for him. And Klopp's still at the stage where he's listening to listening to others and taking the right advice. He's got the right people around him. He listens to Kravitz, whatever his name is. The guy who sits next to him on the bench, and he listens to to his mini-me that tells him about the fitness, and he listens to the nutritionist, and he listens to, listens to these stats analysis guys. And that's why we changed the game, because he's listening to other people. That's why he's moved away from this high press game that he used to play constantly.
Right. Yes. Proof is in the pudding, yeah. That's very interesting. Right. Okay. Let's get back to Hender. Let's get to players' ratings and Jordan Henderson.
Go on then.
I gave him a 7.
Really?
I thought he was good. But not great. He kept the play ticking along. You?
He had a good game, yeah. But to be honest, he's playing a role where he didn't really get the chances he normally has to shine. You know what I mean? He didn't have the chances to create because of the way Burnley play. It's one of those games where he's just doing the dirty work. I would have given him probably a 7.5 because he did a lot more work, off the ball.
Fair enough, mate. The beauty for him is for me now, he's not having any bad games lately. Since he's been his role, he's been thrust back into that role. He's not having any bad games. He's consistently performing well, and on top of that, compounded by his stellar captaincy, he's on the rise. It's just brilliant to see. And I remember when he was on the bench when Salah and Mane was having his meltdown. You see Henderson on the bench, and he was like lip reading. He was going, you know what I mean, FFS kind of thing, and he was like, he's just playing that role of the captain. He was geeing up the troops every time on the pitch, and he's just real captain material. And I don't think, to be honest with you, Virgil will be as good as captain as him. I really don't believe that. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know everybody's trying that he's the next in line.
Everyone just wants to get it off Henderson for some reason. I don't understand it. He's been an excellent captain. I don't understand why people keep wanting to talk about who should be next captain. I mean, just be glad we've got him.
I agree with you on this point wholeheartedly. He is a superb captain because I think he's fueled by the fact that people doubt him as a captain, so he gives it all even more. I love that. He's on point every time.
I just think he was a natural born captain anyway. That's why Sunderland made him captain as a kid. He was captain in their first team as a kid because he just is. it just suited to it, you know. Some people are, some people aren't.
He's pushing the defence out, the midfielders out all the time. He's just, and he's giving people. He has a go at people when they need to. He G's them up, cajoles them when he needs to on the pitch. I just think he's. You can't take the captaincy off him. As long as he's in the team and at the club, you can't take it off him.
I agree with that.
Cool. All right, let's get on to Genie. I gave him a 6.5. I didn't think.
Seriously?
I didn't think it was.
Did you just?
Yeah, I didn't think it was great.
I watched him a lot because, I mean, it's a 4K channel here. Because that's why I was laughing when you were saying about I had to put it with Richard Keys and that. I didn't because I watched it on the 4K channel. You don't get any of that.
Right.
You just get what you do is during the build-up they show the warm-ups and stuff. When it's shown on the 4K channel, I'll watch it there because you don't get any of the chat. You just get watch. You know, and there's no sound. It's just the crowd sound. You don't get any talking at all. You just literally get to watch the warm-ups. Okay, and that's brilliant. So yeah, I watched it on that, and I watched on there. It does seem like the pitch is, you know, they show more of the pitch. If you see what I mean. It's so clear as well. You can see every blade of grass, all that. Like, but I made a point of watching a lot of Ginny because I wanted to see what he was doing. That he's.
Yeah.
Honestly, mate, he was absolutely outstanding. Some of the work he did off the ball was incredible.
No, he worked.
Honestly,
he worked tirelessly.
And back, he was going fast. He was working his. So you know, when other players sometimes you'll see them and they stroll backwards because they don't seem to think it's as important to defend. He was sprinting hell for leather to get back 60 yards just to be in position to cover a pass, a potential pass. Not even to make a challenge, like some players will do it just to make a challenge, like they'll chase back. But he was doing it, you know, he was doing it over just to make sure he was in position to cover a cross or a pass or something like that. He was. Honestly, he worked his backside off. I can see why Klopp loves him so much because he was exceptional. Honestly, he really was. I made a big point of watching him, and he was outstanding. I would have given him a much higher score. In fact, I thought he was contender for man of the match. That's how good I thought he was.
I didn't see that, mate. I didn't see that. I stand corrected. I didn't see that. I thought he worked tirelessly for sure, but I expected a little bit. But I didn't see that. So,
some of the stuff he does on the ball is holding on to it in tight areas and stuff.
He's strong.
And skillful.
Listen, for a little guy, for a slight guy.
Is he small? He's not slight. He's not slight, mate. Honestly, you have a look at him. He's quite a big guy. Honestly, he's not skinny or anything like you seem to be making out. He's 5'10" or something. He's tall. You know, he's not short. He's not a little guy.
5'10",
he's definitely not little.
Yeah, okay.
Because you're standing him next to, you're seeing him next to Virgil van Dijk, and I'm not being funny. If I was stood on your shoulders, I'd still look short compared to Virgil van Dijk.
Mate, talking about comparisons, height comparisons, I know this is a little bit off topic, but screw it. You didn't see the Lomachenko fight on Saturday, did you?
No.
Mate, there was a guy, when he was walking out with his security, there was a guy. Lomachenko's 5'7". This guy must have been, I don't know, he must have been about 6'8", 6'9", 6'10". You should have seen it. It was like he was a man mountain compared to Vasily Lomachenko. Anyway, back to Genie. I didn't.
Not sure what the point was in that story.
Yeah, no. Because you were talking. Ginny comparable compared to Virgil van Dijk.
I always think of Virgil van Dijk looks like somebody's taken, when you watch him, you know, when you see him in the lineup and that, it always looks like somebody's had a game of FIFA and created their own player and just made him bigger and more powerful for an else. He always has that look of like, you know, somebody said, well, I'm just going to increase the stats to the maximum, you know what I mean? And made this giant of a man he always looks like he's just bigger than everyone else, you know what I mean?
It's like playing on cheat mode, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. But it's just because when you play that, I used to play it with my mate a lot, like because he when he was ill, when he had when he first got cancer, he couldn't really do much. So we used to just play games like FIFA all the time. Like I'd just go around and see him play FIFA with him because he couldn't really go anywhere or anything like. And so a lot of the times he'd put people in, all his mates in, like that had come round and play. He'd put them in and we'd play as a team, like, and it'd be us lot rather than whoever's in the team. Like he'd change the team to us lot, and he'd put our stats up slightly higher than everyone else, obviously. But like Van Dijk looks like those kind of, where he's made him, because you can alter the size and everything. He looks like somebody's just gone, well, I'll just make him as tall as possible, as wide as possible, as quick as possible. Just put everything up to full. That's Virgil van Dijk, and that's what he plays like.
And give him the longest hair, yeah. What was I going to... Yeah, mate, no, listen, Genie, is there a better midfield in the world? I mean, is that your...
Well, we're told
would that be your midfield? Would that be your midfield? Fabinho, Hendo and...
For this system, I don't think there's a better one. So, yeah.
You think Ox would get a look in at his best in there?
Yeah, and Keita at their best. Yeah, it depends on who you're facing.
Mate, I've forgotten about Keita. I mean, I think and you Milner. Could put this... And Milner, yeah, but the
any
thing
of
is,
them, you could literally put any three of them into the midfield, and you'd be happy with it, wouldn't you?
See, yeah, exactly. I don't think that you have to actually... I think these three midfielders, Hendo, Fabinho and Gini, could play against any other midfield, regardless of how they're set, how the other team is set up.
In this Klopp system, though, it must be. I'm thinking of
course.
In this Klopp system, they're perfect for it. If you put them, if you gave them to someone else, somebody else, if they were in the Emery team, managed by Unai Emery, they'd be shit. Let's be honest, because he's crap and he hasn't got a clue what to do tactically. Emery, he would have the defence should be all over the place anyway. They wouldn't be protected because they'd be following his tactical instructions. But for Klopp, no, they're perfect. They're great.
No, for Klopp, listen. For Klopp, they go through brick walls and electric fences and all the rest of it. But what I'm saying is, we could play any football team on the planet. And if you put Gini, Fabinho, and Hendo in your midfield, in our system that we play, the 4-3-3, obviously, we would be. I wouldn't be unhappy at all. And like you say, you can pick and choose. Yeah. I think
Mix
this is.
Match,
but do you think these three would be your first choice midfield?
Right now, on current form, yes. I mean, I like the idea of having either Ox or Keita in there to do running, breaking the lines by attacking them with the ball at their feet. But on current form, it's difficult to see. I mean, how can you drop any of them? And I feel sorry for Milner as well, because he's been fantastic for us, but you just can't put him in there at the moment, can you?
No, you can't, mate. And look how he's taking it as well. He's taking it like a true classy champion that he is, There's no tantrums or anything because they know they're going to get games. We've got three competitions. We're in, at least we're going to go for the European Cup and the title, obviously. And then there's going to be the FA Cup, Carabao Cup or whatever it is. Carabao Cup or whatever.
Carabao.
So, yeah, exactly. So, it just bodes well. And what I said last week as well, where would we have put other players? It's just like, I was the first one to be pissed at the fact that we didn't sign anybody, but they've been vindicated by not buying any.
I'm still saying it's too early to judge that. We'll only know that at the end of the season. And that's the same if we'd bought them and they hadn't got used. We wouldn't have known that until the end of the season if they were just superfluous or not. We'll only know.
Exactly.
This time next year, if we're champions, we'll know it was the right decision. If not, then,
absolutely.
Well,
my point is, Naby and Shaq can't even get a game. Naby's not playing. By the way, how is what's wrong with him? When's he coming?
He's injured, but I don't think he's going to be fit until after the international break, isn't it? I forget what the injury is now. We did discuss this last time. I think I said what it was then, didn't I? Wasn't it an ankle problem? Or am I
so it's different from what it was. Is it different from the injury that Naby had when he went away too early from injury when he got injured in the? I think it was a semi-final.
Didn't he aggravate it, and that's been the problem? Is that he's never quite recovered properly.
Now,
so he's picked up other knocks.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Hasn't that Guinea manager been fired for abusing players' injuries, playing them when they're not in?
Or something? That one.
I'm not sure, mate. But
almost every African manager got fired over the summer. To be fair, so it's kind of a good bet that you're right that he's been fired. Let's be honest here, because I think I think of the managers that went to the African nations, I think one hasn't been fired. I think.
Was that the winner? Who won the? It wasn't Algeria. They got to the final.
It was Algeria versus Senegal, wasn't it? They beat Mane's team. They beat Mane, remember?
Yeah,
it was Algeria.
That's right. Yeah.
And I think he's the only one that hasn't been fired.
Can you imagine if he got fired after winning the African Nations AFCON? That'd have been hilarious. But I mean, I think that it's a. I don't even know where I was now.
No, should we just go on to the next player? Where are we? The next player.
Yeah, exactly. Mane, yeah.
Because you've lost the plot.
Mane.
Okay. So what did you think?
I gave him a 7. I scored the opener with I scored the second goal with a lovely finish.
So he scored and you only gave him a 7? Even though he got himself into place to score another one. They just didn't get the ball past to him.
It took him time to get into the game, and but when he's not even at his super high level, he's still affecting the game positively, you know, and making space, etc. Movements are always good. I wanted to give him a 10 for his meltdown, which I thought was very entertaining, but there you go.
Bless you.
What did you make of him?
I thought he actually had a good game. I don't know why you only gave him a 7. I thought he caused them havoc and gave Robertson so much space to run down the outside because, you know, all their team was so busy worrying about Mane all the time.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he was that good.
7.5 at least.
No,
I mean, he was in position to score more than one.
Stop trying to prejudice in my scores. I don't do it to you.
Yeah,
you have your own scores.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying you're crap and you're wrong. You know.
I just think that I don't think we could do without him, and I don't think we would do without him.
But you only gave him a 7. I don't know.
But it's still a good score.
Is it?
Yeah, 10 is like.
Oh, here we go. Now we're going to have to explain why you've given him such a crap score and pretend it was actually good.
I won't bore you with the details of the explanation.
Can we just move on to Bobby now?
Bobby Firmino got a 9.5 for me. He was majestic. And, excuse me. He's on fire at the moment. He's showing the world what a truly world-class talent he is. But, you know, it's really cliche to say this, but Bobby is what makes this team tick. He was everywhere. He was everywhere. He did everything apart from going goal. He defended from the front, created chances, deft movement, scored a goal, flicks, tricks. The only thing he didn't do was a no-look pass, but he may have done one of them. I just wasn't looking. See what I did there? Did you see what I did there?
Oh, God.
See, went over your head.
Oh, God's sake.
Phenomenal.
I was just about to say you did do one, but then I heard you say the joke. I was like, oh, God.
Phenomenal. No,
you really are. Oh, sorry, you talked about Bobby.
Oh, right, yeah. phenomenal, mate.
He was exceptional again.
Crazy good at performance. Unbelievable. Really does make us tick. God, I hope he never gets injured.
Whew. Yeah, that's the worrying one for me.
You know, everything's going right for him at the moment. He's flicked it. Even the showboating is, it's working. It's positive.
Some of the stuff he does is incredible. I mean, okay, sometimes he does give the ball away, but it's because he's doing something special. You know what I mean? He's creating something. He's playing the hard passes. He's not picking the easy ones most of the time.
You know, I think he's on the pitch. He's clearly a supremely positive character, but I think he's one of those people in the dressing room as well that is a really stabilizing, has a stabilizing effect as well.
Can't argue with that. Sorry, I wasn't sure you were waiting for me or not then.
No,
it seemed like a cut and shut comment, and then you stopped. I was like, "Am I supposed to speak?"
It wasn't rhetorical, mate. That's for sure. Did you see the video?
You don't even know what rhetorical means, so come on.
You know when I didn't know if you saw the video clip when he was such a joker when Mane when they were going into the tunnel after the game. Mane was behind. Firmino was in the middle and Salah was at the front. All three of them walking up the tunnel. And Bobby's face, did you see that video? He was like trying to make out. It was really awkward. It was hilarious.
Right, yeah. Yes, I did see that one. Sorry.
It was so funny.
For some reason, I had the Adidas advert he's done in my head. That's the one that just kept going through my head then.
Right, yeah.
Because he's just done a new one, hasn't he? And I just kept that's just replayed in my mind, and I couldn't remember what one you were on about.
So glad he signed a new contract. Worst case scenario, we get stupid money for him. Best case scenario, he stays another 3 or 4 years.
I don't see him leaving. He's happy. I mean, he was the one that was screaming at Coutinho, why would you want to go?
Yeah, I remember you said, yeah.
He loves it. He's happy and settled. His family is settled as well. You got to say Adrian's well settled. Did you see he's been visiting like things like going to the zoo and all that, like Nosy Safari Park and that, I think. All sorts of things in the air. He's just basically, he's settling in all right there.
Fair enough, mate. How long's he signed for?
I think he's only got a 1-year contract, but I'm quite sure if, like, the end of the season, yeah, I'm quite sure he'll be there for a while. As a number 2, he's perfect, isn't he?
Yeah, I think that's another 2 years at least, eh?
Because he's loving it. That's the thing. He's loving it. He's living the dream for him. No, I'm serious. He's living the dream. If you go to Spain, when I was there, and almost all the Spanish, their English side, if they have an English side, tends to be Liverpool. And I'm pretty sure I remember him being one of them. Him saying once, yeah, they all, if they have an English team, you know what I mean? Because a lot of them watch the English game as well. And it's almost always Liverpool. Except one guy I met in a shop. He's got a shop. My mum and dad used to go there. I can't remember what for. But he's got his little shop there. And he's non-league sides in England. Literally, non-league side. He's got like FC Liverpool. The ones that a few of the fans broke away and set up their own during the H&G problems. They set up their own club, FC Liverpool. He's got scarves of them up on display and stuff and that, like. And he was always asking for, if you had anything from non-league football. It's like, what? Strange thing to support in Spain is non-league football in England, but okay.
People in England don't even support non-league football.
Yeah, sadly, there's not many left.
Yeah, exactly. So 9.5, you've agreed. 9.5.
I'm happy with that.
When
it's Bobby, it's just like he can pick his own score. I'm happy.
He's the most unselfish footballer. I mean, he doesn't complain either. When Salah should have passed to him, he would have had an easy goal. Doesn't complain. That's all. It's just, I want his baby.
Just gets on with it.
Yeah, exactly.
As long
Doesn't
as
he?
the
And
team
he's
wins,
for the
he's happy.
team.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's all about the team, mate. All right, man. The Ox came on for 20
What about
minutes.
Salah? We haven't talked about Salah yet. You haven't done his rating.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of difficult to miss him.
Salah. Yeah.
I'm going to be
I was a bit
interested to
upset
hear
with
what you
him.
give him.
Listen. Again, I'm his biggest cheerleader. He pissed me off on Saturday, but I thought he was a good 8.5 on Saturday. I thought he was absolutely tremendous. I loved him.
I'm really not going to ask what you meant by a good 8.5, was he?
I thought he was fabulous, mate. I really did, but I don't think he
so after you slagging him off for those 2 for not passing, you now said he was great.
Objective.
Okay, but Mane, who did do the passes and wasn't selfish, you only gave a 7 to.
Yeah, but
and yet Mane scored. What Salah did?
I can't believe I missed Salah. Oh my god!
Well, sometimes your scoring makes no sense.
How did you think he played then?
No, I'm not disputing that. I'm just wondering how come you thought Mane wasn't that good, yet he scored and contributed and passed the ball when the pass was on. Yet you moaned about Salah not doing that, and yet you said he's got a higher score.
Just because you score doesn't mean you automatically have a high score.
No,
you can score and have a really poor game.
Oh, yes, I agree with that. What I'm saying is, you were moaning about Salah's performance at the start. You were saying about him not passing, could have cost us the game and all this. You had a good moan and you said how Mane was much better. Yes, you did. No, that's what you were doing. You were moaning about it.
I didn't say Salah was poor. I said all he could have done was pass more. He was selfish. He was a bit selfish.
But
that's
my
all
point is, Mane did pass and scored, and he was in position for another goal if it had been laid onto him in open space. He created chances. He worked hard. How is Mane got a lower score than Salah? That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying Salah should get a lower score. I'm saying Mane deserves a higher score and you underrated him. I think you've undervalued his performance.
I take on board what you're saying, and I appreciate what you're saying. I hear you, but
you take no bloody notice. Yeah, I know.
No, of course I don't. No. But I thought, what would you give Mane? Salah.
I'm quite happy with him getting an 8.5, but I'd give him. I'm just saying I thought Mane had a better game than you rated him. That's what I'm saying.
Oh right, okay.
That's what I'm trying to say. Is I think Mane had as good a game as Salah. I think they were both much of a muchness again, except the difference was Mane scored on his chance. Salah messed up his chances, didn't score, and that's so you can't really.
I think Salah did everything but score, and I think he was lively. I thought he was very effective. He did everything
but score and but pass. Would have been a better one, I'd have said.
I think it was. I don't know. Maybe all right. I'll give you that.
I just think it's a bit unfair on Mane. A bit harsh on him.
All right. Maybe I'll give him another half a point. There you go. 7.5.
God, you're generous. God. Oh, I tell you. Christmas in your house must be bloody great, you, eh?
Tangerines and coal. Anything more to add on
But not too many tangerines, because she's not made of any. Just a half. Just a half. God, thank God you never had kids, eh? They'd have been up chimneys by the time they were 5.
Chimney.
Yeah. Sweeping them out. Come on, you've got to win your coal. I'm not made of any, you know.
Chimneys in London, mate.
You do? Of course you do.
Salah. I lived in a council. I lived in a frigging council estate for 12 years.
Lost council estate, my ass.
I did.
You're posh. You never lived in a council estate.
I actually did, mate, for 12 years of my life. First 12 years of my life. Anyway, let's carry on with what do you make of Salah's performance?
I thought we'd already done that. We said he's good, but I just disputed that he was any better than Matt. I thought they were both much of a muchness. Both good, really good games, I thought.
Good.
Caused no
Mate,
end of trouble.
You're under the misconception.
I thought you were going to say I was under the mistletoe then. I was going to say this, look, even though it is Christmas, we're not going there. Not again. That was a one-off. I was drunk, I'm telling you.
And you
I don't even drink.
Well. You were intoxicated with my stunning good looks, weren't you?
It certainly wasn't that.
Right. Oxlade Chamberlain.
And it wouldn't be your wit or humour either.
Mate, Oxlade Chamberlain had 20 minutes, a cameo.
He looked
really
good,
do
I thought. I thought he did well.
Yeah,
did a bit of defending, did a bit of running around, covered ground.
Got a run around. I think he'll be used a lot more prominently around the Christmas, New Year schedule. I think that's where he'll be coming into the fore more.
I think that's when the squad will be utilised. That's when we'll see who's got it or not.
Exactly. I think you'll see the Manes and the Shaqs and the Origis and the Caters come in and see what really.
God, you thought his game was that bad. Now you relegated him to the bench. Jesus. Oh.
A
minute ago, he's not only a 7, even though he scored. You've got him now. You're sitting him on the bench to only come in for the cup games. God's sake, you really don't like Malé, do you?
I'm still visualising the frigging missile. I'm still visualising the missile.
I'm sorry. I know that was an exciting moment for you.
Oh, mate, you scarred me. Yeah. So, yeah, let's have. It's as you say, the squad will come. The squad will be utilised Christmas, New Year, and I'm all excited, mate.
You haven't noticed that. So we're not going to mention Shaqiri and who else came on.
Oh, that's Shaqiri and who was it? Origi for about 5 minutes, I think.
Yeah, they didn't really get a chance to do anything. I know, but just thought it's worth saying. Well, Shaqiri covered. No, that's why I wanted to mention them. Shaqiri, didn't you notice? It was when Mane was coming off. And it was like you've just seen that footage of him going in for a hug from Klopp and Klopp blanking him. Have you seen that footage? There's a video going round. Went viral. He tried to get a hug off Klopp. Went in for a hug, and Klopp blanked him completely. Didn't give him the hug, and it was a really awkward moment. He was just sort of left hanging. Like when someone's waiting for a high five. And they get left hanging. It's really embarrassing. Well, can you imagine what it's like? Yeah, it was in the tunnel at Anfield. I think it was the Arsenal game. I think it was. Anyway, yeah. So there's this. So there's the video of him. Then when Mane was coming off, Mane didn't go near him, and he's reaching across, and obviously he's only short, so he's virtually stretching himself right across, trying to get Mane to shake his hand. He's not having any of it. Tony Van just thought, you poor get. Nobody wants to shake your hand even, let alone give you a hug. It's always him. Because as he was going off, Origi ran past Mane as he's going off and gave, he shook his hand as he went past and then totally ignored poor Shaqiri. And you can see him because he's such a little thing. He's like bouncing around. What about me, sort of thing?
About me? What about me?
And he's honestly, he's reaching right over. You got to see it. He's reaching right over and he's desperately trying to shake on his hand. He's just not having it.
Funny stuff. I was surprised to see him come on, actually. I thought Lallana would get a game before him, but there you go.
Yeah, he usually brings on Lallana, doesn't he?
Yeah. Oh, well, mate. Well, that's the player ratings done. Let's go on to some transfer news. Bobby Duncan.
Thank God he's
him
gone.
And his him and his agent have got their move. 2 million fee rumoured to Fiorentina and a 20% buy-on clause.
It was a mistake. That was a mistake to sign him. I think we should have
Why?
seen the issues there he had with Man City and steered well clear. It was the same ones we did. The same mistake we made to Jerome Sinclair. Trouble. They think they're better than they are, and they end up nowhere.
But he was a Liverpool supporter. He wanted to come home to Liverpool. Steven Gerrard's cousin.
He wanted to leave Man City because they wouldn't give him a game. He didn't want to come to Liverpool specifically. It's just he thought he was going to get games for Liverpool because he was Steven Gerrard's cousin. No doubt he thought that'd help him. I wouldn't be surprised if money had a big part in that as well. You know, who was paying the most? Because we pay well for kids. You know, the youth team paid well.
I think he was on £1,300 a week at Liverpool.
It's a very small salary, though, remember? Because his agent made sure to mention that about 45 times, remember?
Right. The guy based in Dubai. I salute that. So you don't think his hype is relative to what's going? I mean, you don't think he's that good?
I don't think he's any good. I think he was... The only reason we wanted him, really, I think is because he's Gerrard's cousin. I really do think that's what the hype was about. Don't get me wrong, he's not a bad player. He's not a bad player, but I just don't think I don't see anything about him that's going to make him be a top class player. No, I think it showed that when it was only Fiorentina who wanted him.
The other guy is meant to be pretty special. His strike partner, is it Glatzel?
Glatzel's way ahead of him in the pecking order for a reason, because he's a better player.
Gotcha.
No, I'm not convinced by that, Duncan, at all. I didn't.
Okay.
But you can't say that you couldn't say that to Liverpool fans before now because he's Steven Gerrard's cousin, and that made him untouchable apparently. Because I got a lot of stick for saying anything about I'm not sure about it.
Gotcha. Because there was a big hype about him. I hadn't seen much
Steven
of
Gerrard's
him, to be
cousin
honest with
come
you.
home. It's I mean, you can see there's a potential player in there, but it's him. There's something about him. You know, when you watch him, I just think he's got the wrong attitude for me. Do you know what I mean?
So, why hasn't Steven Gerrard said to him, look, knocked his... had a quiet word in his ear.
From what I've known of Steven Gerrard and his cousins, he's not that close. I mean, I remember when I knew one of his cousins a long time ago, but when he was just a kid. This is when Gerrard was a kid. And I remember saying to her about a family gathering, would he be coming along, because this was when he'd just broken into the team. So he says, oh no, he never comes to family gatherings, he's too busy. This was when he's not even in the field. He was no mark then. He was still just a kid. Said no, he never comes along to these family gatherings and that because he's too busy. Always been too busy.
Gotcha.
And I just think he's never really been. They're not really. I mean, it might have changed in recent years, but as far as I'm aware, they're not that. They know each other, but they're not close because he's always busy with. He's got his own life and he doesn't really
family and stuff. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, I salute the club for selling him, as he's blatantly disrespected Liverpool Football Club, and as he's saying goes, no player is bigger than the club. It shows the world. I mean, it sends a warning out to players that we're not going to take any crap.
Yeah, but I think it should have been done much sooner and just got rid of him. As soon as he started to kick up a fuss, it should have been okay. Bye on your bike.
Well, we did. It's been 3 or 4 days, really.
No, because this is the third offer they've made. We rejected the first couple of offers they made.
Yeah, and I suppose. I
think it's the right decision. I've got to be honest. I think it's the right decision. The club did the right thing because they've gone from a loan with a view to buy. Loan with a potential obligation to buy. Now they've gone to a permanent move. So I think it's turned out to be the right thing. But personally, I just got rid of him.
Yeah. Fair enough, mate. Moving on to Ryan Kent, £7 million transfer today to Rangers. Good move for both clubs, I think.
Well, like we said before, his missus is there. He wanted to go back there. He was never going to get into our first team, and he loves it there. And the fans love him. I mean, they've been desperate for him to return. Not sure why, because if you look at his record, I mean, it isn't like he scored a lot of goals or bagged a load of assists, or you watch his performances, and he beats players for fun. But he's got very little end product, very little. Reminds me a bit of Wilf Zaha. Looks good today, when you're actually just watching quick, see highlights, or because he does do some good stuff, but it then once he's done that good thing, he doesn't seem to know what to do next, if you see what I mean. He's never got the right, he never seems to pick the right option. I think he got 3 goals and 4 assists or something ridiculous like that in an entire season.
So my question to you is, why they got him for $7 million, right? And I think he was. Why did they wait this long then? So, I mean, right at the end of the transfer window, why didn't they just come in a couple of weeks earlier and just say, "Look, that's $7 million"?
They didn't want to pay that much.
Oh, so they reckon they overpaid, kind of thing, right?
Well, this is a last minute deal. We've got to get it through now, or he's going elsewhere, because Liverpool were looking for a permanent one. They wanted a loan. They couldn't really afford to pay $7 million.
Right.
But they eventually, I think it's $6 million anyway, with a I think it's or even 5.5. It might be with add-ons and a sell-on. Right. I think it's 20% sell-on, something like that.
Have we? Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, fair enough.
So we took a lower fee than we were looking for.
Yeah. With a future incentive.
Yeah, and hopefully he lights things up there and improves a lot, and he goes for huge money next year or in a couple of years or whenever.
Let's hope so, yeah. What was the score in the Scotland Rangers game on Saturday?
Scotland Rangers?
For the weekend.
Do you mean Celtic?
Rangers Celtic, sorry. Yeah.
Celtic won, Rangers, yeah. I think 2-0, I think. So that helped as well, because Rangers lost. So obviously they needed a boost.
Probably put a few million on the transfer fee.
Well, I think it made them actually want to go and seal it quick, rather than saying, no, we just won't bother then.
Fair enough. Any VAR controversies over the weekend you wanted to talk about?
Oh, God, there was loads. That's why I don't know if we should do it now. We should save it for that VAR one, because look at them all. Did you see that Tielemans challenge for starters? That was an assault. Nowhere near the ball. Yeah. No attempt to play the ball. And both the referee and then the VAR checked it afterwards, decided it wasn't a red card. I mean, how? And then there's the Jack Grealish one. Clearly he gets shoved, which is the first foul, into somebody else's leg, which is a second foul, and the referee books him for diving, and the VAR checked it, and they'd scored as well. You got to remember, I mean, obviously it would have made no difference to the result, because I think it was an injury time at the end of the game anyway, or so. And they basically, even if they'd have scored, it wouldn't have. I think it wouldn't have been an equaliser. It would have been just to pull it back to 1 goal difference. But they've ruled out a goal for a ridiculous decision. VAR's checked it, and still they're saying he's dived, and you're thinking that's no way.
The referee blew up, and what the directive is for them to finish that phase of play, and then so it's a nonsense, isn't it? And the
there's more.
And the Newcastle goal, and the Newcastle goal, it was a handball.
Yeah.
And they still let it go.
There's more than one handball goal. And how many times are we still seeing a foul in the build-up not being given and not being checked for on VAR? I mean, that was one of the things it was supposed to be. And I've heard I don't know how true this is, but I think it's I can't remember whether it's the FA or the PFA or someone like that. I've asked to speak to the PGMOL about putting remember we were saying about the monitors pitch side. They want the referees to have those monitors pitch side.
What's straight away or next season?
For now, straight away. They want them to bring him in for the next set of games. So they're having a meeting this month during the international break. They want to speak to him about having that brought in because it's been such a mess what's happening now.
You know, ironically, there's more mistakes with VAR than there were without it.
It's awful.
It really is.
It's like they're and I don't, I might be completely wrong, and maybe they're not doing this. Maybe they're just all crap. But it feels like they're deliberately just backing the referee with this VAR, and that's all they're doing. Is they're not actually looking to see if there's anything wrong. They're just backing his decision, even if it's wrong. Because there's no way.
Because they don't want to cause any more controversy or drama.
There's no way you couldn't look at that Tielemans challenge. There's no way on earth that you couldn't look at that Tielemans challenge and tell me that anybody in the world who's ever been involved with football would say that's anything but a red card. But somehow,
to be fair, mate,
two referees looked at it and said it's not. Oh, if you see it, mate, it's just stamped on his ankle. It's a stamp. There's nowhere near the ball. I mean, the ball's yards away. It's not even in the... he's not even gone in the same direction as the ball's going and just missed it or anything like that. He's gone in and stamped on the guy's ankle. It's one of those you just think, that's assault. He's deliberately tried to break the guy's ankle there. That's a red card all day long. And a lengthy ban, except in the English game.
It's a nonsense, isn't it, really? It's an absolute nonsense.
You could probably pick holes in a decision in every game that the referee's got wrong and VAR's checked, and you still don't understand how the VAR's not picked it up.
All right, mate. Well, I think that we're going to be doing a VAR podcast in the next coming days, so stay tuned, everybody.
Yeah, just don't sing on the beginning of that one, for God's sake. Otherwise, we'll get nobody listening to it.
Hey, you just giving me food for thought now. What would I say? What could you sing for a VAR podcast?
I don't know. Maybe it's far, but not as we know it.
Rubbish. I'm going to sing that. It's VAR. Oh, right. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, you know that. Edwin Starr, wasn't it?
How old do you think I am?
Well, it's quite a famous song because it has been redone a few times, and it was in Rush Hour. Jackie Chan was singing it with Chris Tucker, remember?
No, what was this? You sing it for me.
It's War.
I might remember it.
It's called War, the song, isn't it? It's War, but no.
Oh, Bob Dylan.
No, it wasn't Bob Dylan. It was before older than that.
War. What is it good
That's it.
for?
What is it good
Absolutely
for?
nothing. Say it again.
That's it. Yeah, that's not Bob
That
Dylan.
is
It's Edwin
brilliant.
Starr or something.
It's Bob Dylan.
I'm sure it's Edwin Starr.
Freddie Starr didn't sing.
No, not Freddie Starr, you divvy.
All right, I'm
going to Google it. Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Edwin Starr, you're right.
Thank you. See, I know these things. Because loads of people have come. Frankie Goes to Hollywood, that was it. We were trying to. Bruce Springsteen, that's who you were thinking of, not bloody Bob Dylan, who covered it. I was trying to think. Yeah, Bruce Springsteen.
Bob Dylan.
Bruce Springsteen covered it.
Did he?
Yeah, that's who you're thinking of. No, but my mum's best mate down the road used to have an obsession with Bruce Springsteen. She had. The only thing I know about Bruce Springsteen, apart from that, is he does a lot for charity and that. And when Two Live Crew were having trouble, when all their music was banned, and they asked him if they could use "Born in the USA" as the backing track for "Banned in the USA." He said, "Yeah, sure. What's it for?" He said, because they were going to ask him to pay for the license, And when they told him what had happened, he said, "Oh, you can have it for free then."
Well,
refused to charge him a license fee, and made the record company give it for free because of what it was for, because it was a protest song about being banned.
I met his daughter last year. She's really nice, Jessica. Yeah.
Right.
Hello.
It's not quite the same as meeting him, though, is it? It's like...
I don't know, mate. Have you seen his daughter?
No, I've no idea. I wouldn't know her if I wouldn't know if she was sat next to me now. I wouldn't even know him if he was sat next to me now, to be honest.
Mate, the likelihood of a girl sitting next to you is so remote, I wouldn't even bother about it. Anyway.
I doubt she's a girl. She must be about 50, because he's in his 70s, isn't he? She just probably seemed like a girl compared to you, because you're that old, that's all.
Mate, on that note...
So any other business? Anything else you can think of?
No, mate, I can't. What I can think of is going for a pee.
So this is when I should play a waterfall.
Yeah, or play war. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Say it again.
Please don't sing again. But it doesn't matter now, because we're ending. We're trying to get rid of everyone, so good time to sing.
Goodbye, caller.
Bye-bye.